I'm a bad motherfucker.
All right, so this is the conclusion of our quintilogy of, is that a word, of horrible acts to limit freedom that the government is taking. So Senate passes Biden signed surveillance bill despite contentious debate over privacy concerns. President Joe Biden on Saturday signed a bill that reauthorizes a key surveillance authority after the Senate passed the legislation late Friday night, avoiding a lapse in the controversial program. Lawmakers voted 60-34 for the bill to reauthorize Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act after the House passed the measure late last week. The House passed the bill after a new version was put forward for a 2-year reauthorization instead of 5 years, a change that helped appease conservatives who had initially revolted against the legislation until they showed them the Kennedy film. A 2-year reauthorization would give former President Donald Trump a chance to overhaul the law if he wins the upcoming presidential election. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, there he is. There he is. He's like the Zelig of terrible things. He's always in the background.
Yeah, right, yeah.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan applauded the reauthorization, calling the program one of the United States' most vital intelligence collection tools. Thanks for that, Jake. Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell pressed for passage of the FISA bill, which he said had a number of changes in it to address past abuses by the FBI.
Can I just want to ask Jake
Yes,
Sullivan.
please.
I wish someone would ask Jake Sullivan. Can you point to one terrorism plot that this intelligence tool has thwarted?
That's classified.
Right, that's what they would say, right?
You'll never know how much we did for you.
Can you?
That's the real sad
They don't
thing.
have to prove. They don't have to. There's nothing. They just have to say it works.
Yeah.
Well,
We're working hard.
no. This also allows them, if you have a device that they can tap into for intelligence collection purposes, they can now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Under this bill.
So we're China now. Now we're China.
That's why, but man, people who have fucking Alexa in their house, I'm like, what are you crazy?
I couldn't believe they got it.
It's bad enough having this. It's bad enough having the phone.
Dude, I mean, I couldn't believe a bunch of people I knew got it. They got a smart house.
Right.
Yeah, but the people who
Even
do that
after
are
it came out
generally-
that they were being listened in on, they still got them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the people who have those kinds of systems are generally uninteresting to the point where they don't say anything that
And
would
still
get
mistakes
flagged
are
by the
made.
government anyway. Right?
No, it's not true. Somebody got their house turned off because a delivery man thought they heard a racial slur.
I remember
How do
that.
I get
yeah,
that
yeah,
job
yeah.
when I turn off people's
Oh,
houses?
is that right?
Because they were being racist in their house.
What happened?
You didn't hear about
Oh,
that?
that's
No, I didn't hear about
that's
that.
a couple years ago.
Yeah, a delivery guy thought he heard a racial slur when I didn't, and the house
And they
this lady's
shut off.
house got
They
turned
shut off the smart
Who does
house.
he call to get that done?
It was an Amazon delivery guy, so I don't know.
So they
I guess he called Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, hey, you cannot fault them their customer service. They were right on it.
right.
Why would my house need to be turned off because I was using racial? Like, what benefit would that be to anything if my house is turned off?
It's like nobody has ever watched a technology gone wrong turns on its
They did. They thought it
master
was Star Trek.
sci-fi movie.
That Black Mirror is their Star Trek.
Yes,
That's their optimistic future.
All right. So the Kentucky Republican also warned that some critics of the bill were fear-mongering that the legislation would allow spying on Americans in coffee shops and other places and should be ignored.
They're not already doing that?
I'm reassured. Supporters argue, if Mitch McConnell says it, you can take it to the bank. Supporters argue Section 702 is a critical tool for safeguarding national security, but it has come under scrutiny from some lawmakers over alleged misuse.
No, it's not alleged. We know for a fact that over almost 300,000 times they misused it.
You see, I think the way they won over the Republicans is the Republicans were mad that they misused it against Trump. They don't care about them misusing it against you.
Right.
Yeah.
They must have reassured them that it wouldn't be used against their candidates again.
But there it is. There's it in the second paragraph. Hundreds of thousands of Americans' information is collected.
Sure.
I like how incidentally. It's
Incidental.
collected. Take the word incidentally out. It's collected.
Under FISA's Section 702,
They're swept up. They're going to start saying, they got swept up.
they got swept up in it, but it's safe and effective. The government hoovers up massive amounts of internet and cell phone data on foreign targets. Hundreds of thousands of Americans' information is incidentally collected during that process and then accessed each year without a warrant, down from millions of such inquiries the U.S. government ran in past years. Well, hey, that's progress.
Well, AI will do it soon. That's what it's for, isn't it? To go through all that metadata?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Critics refer to these queries as backdoor searches.
We're here. We're query.
On Friday, senators argued over an amendment that would require the intelligence community to get court warrants for spying. Perish the thought. The program,
like the Constitution says? You mean like that?
like that kind of thing.
So can they?
Crazy stuff.
So they run the country.
Yeah.
So this law just basically ignores the Fourth Amendment.
Yeah, sure.
Can you do that? So now if someone
they found a backdoor way around the Constitution because they're saying it's aimed at spying on foreign people. They don't need a warrant, and if the people getting caught up in it are incidentally caught up in it, well, that's collateral damage. But they're not violating the Constitution because they're not targeting Americans.
So that's like saying that there's a guy they want to spy on who's in my house, so they bug my house, but they didn't want to get me. They wanted to get that other guy.
They wanted to get the other guy, but they got you incidentally. So the program is currently warrantless, in large part because it is aimed at foreigners, not Americans. But U.S. citizens do get swept up in the surveillance when they are interacting with targets abroad. A similar amendment, God knows what they have on you from your trip, Jimmy.
No kidding.
A similar amendment failed in the House, but on a tied vote. I was literally staying when I was in England. I was literally covering the Assange trial and staying in the house of a George Galloway activist. So
yeah, they found all of your backdoor searches.
They back. That's why. Yeah.
I bet they Pegasus your phone.
Yeah,
probably. Another amendment at issue was from Democratic Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon, a member of the Intelligence Committee. His amendment, which was co-sponsored by several of the most liberal Democrats and conservative Republicans in the chamber, would strike a new part of the program that he argued would lead everyday Americans into helping the government spy if they have, quote, access to equipment that is being or may be used to transmit or store wire or electronic communications. Last week, in a setback for House GOP leadership, a group of conservatives initially revolted against the bill and brought down a key procedural vote after Trump called on Republicans to kill FISA in a post on Truth Social. That move threw the fate of the measure into question, but leadership ultimately steered a modified version of the surveillance bill to final passage. So this is Ron Wyden's statement on it. Quote, the senator waited until the 11th hour to ram through renewal of warrantless surveillance in the dead of night. But I'm not giving up. The American people know that reform is possible and that they don't need to sacrifice their liberty to have security. Liberty. It is clear from the votes on very popular amendments that senators were unwilling to send this bill back to the House, no matter how common sense the amendment before them. Time after time, anti-reformers pledge that their Band-Aid changes to the law will curb abuses, and yet every time the public learns about fresh abuses by officials who face little meaningful oversight. Those of us who believe liberty and security are not mutually exclusive have a lot of work to do. Tell me again how I have to vote for Democrats. Tell me again how, because that's not a Democrat.
How'd Bernie Sanders vote on that?
You know, that's an interesting question. That is an interesting question. Keaton, can you try to look up on the Google machine how Biden, how
Bernie voted?
How
Yeah,
Bernie voted on this?
Same thing.
So yeah, same thing. This is Elizabeth Goitain. It's over for now. A majority of senators caved to the fear-mongering and Bush League tactics of the administration and surveillance hawks in Congress, and they sold out American civil liberties. Section 702 has been reauthorized, not just without any meaningful reforms, but with one of the most dramatic and terrifying expansions of government surveillance authority in history, as Ron Wyden aptly described it. It is nothing short of mind-boggling that 58 senators voted to keep this Orwellian power in the bill. The provision effectively grants the NSA access to the communications equipment of almost any U.S. business, plus huge numbers of organizations and individuals. It's a gift to any president who may wish to spy on political enemies, journalists, ideological opponents, etc. The administration and intelligence committee leaders buried senators in a morass of misleading and, in some cases, flatly false statements throughout the week. I think of myself as pretty jaded, and I was still genuinely shaken by how many lies I heard. This is a shameful moment in the history of the United States Congress. It's a shameful moment for this administration as well. But ultimately, it's the American people who pay the price for this sort of thing, and sooner or later we will. Very true.
Why is she shocked? I mean, at this point, don't you think back to the Patriot Act and everything about 9/11 and every other goddamn disaster? Oh, this has been a trick the whole time. Obviously, they're getting. Chuck Schumer said it best. How did 58 how did they go for it? Well, they got 6 ways to Sunday to fuck with you because they spy on everyone.
Well, that's
and they don't live their lives right.
That's why I wanted to open the show with that Tucker segment, because it really does serve as an explanation for almost every other segment we're doing all night.
He's like Jaguar Wright talking about Diddy.
Why did they vote like this? Well,
why you think?
Well, okay.
It's called blackmail.
Because they are terrified of these intelligence agencies. Schumer said it straight out on Rachel Maddow back in 2017.
He's not even allowed to know what they do.
And it's such a base assumption that he forgot to lie about it. Because I'm sure if you're having lunch with a bunch of people in Congress, oh yeah, you don't want to mess with those people. It's just understood, right? But he said it on a hot mic on a
No, you're conditioned. We're all programmed. I mean, I'm not. I'm sick of that shit. But how long have you been watching every fucking movie about how there's the renegade rogue going against who works for intelligence and they're keeping us safe? And you'll never hear, you only hear their mistakes. You'll never hear about all the times they saved your life.
Right.
So everybody's been fed a steady diet of that crap for my whole life. So no, he's not letting it slip. You're supposed to be programmed well enough to go, good, someone's on this Trump problem. And I hope they're going around the law. Well, like a 24, Kiefer Sutherland. I hope they're doing a 24.
Well, the best thing that ever happened to the intelligence services was the election of Donald Trump. Because whatever last vestige there had been of people who think of themselves as left, they're really not liberal class people. Whatever last vestige of the traditional suspicion of the intelligence services that they had went out the window.
Yeah.
I always say one of the most bizarre spectacles of the Trump presidency was watching people who consider themselves on the left celebrating the deep state, celebrating the FBI, celebrating the CIA, sharing op-eds from John Brennan. John Brennan lied to Congress about spying on the Senate, hacking into senators' computers to get information about their investigation into torture in Iraq.
Yeah,
he literally should be in fucking prison.
Yeah, he doesn't play by the rules, but he gets it done. You never saw Mississippi Burning with Gene Hackman.
I saw it.
Okay. And I'm rooting for Gene Hackman in the movie the whole time. And in real life, they brought a violent mobster to do.
I was just going to say that. I was just going to say they left that part out. Yes.
No. Yeah. They had a black guy tell a story about something.
I forget the name of that mobster, but yes, they brought in like
the Grim Reaper.
They brought in a psychopath. Yeah, Greg Scarpa. Exactly.
Because that's what the FBI
they brought in a psychopathic mobster. Yeah. Yes. And that wasn't in the movie.
And he, much like Whitey Bulger, was allowed to get away with all kinds of murder.
Right.
Because he was the FBI's boy.
Right.
So you're supposed to root for that because I don't like the Klan. Oh, good. Hey, I don't like ISIS. I hope we got a hero that plays by his own rules, isn't afraid of torture.
Right.
A Liam Neeson, if you will, that will
Right.
shoot a
Yeah.
Frenchman in the
It's
leg.
a myth they feed you. Mission Impossible.
So you're
right?
just supposed to go, I know you're not supposed to be so stupid. You go, I know it's fiction, but I'm sure it's kind of like that. A lot of these guys, and they're heroes, and thank you for your service. I got all that programming in me to be fed this crap. So Chuck Schumer's assuming that you've been to church enough, and you've got all the instruction.
It's a complicated world, and they're doing a hard job.
Yeah.
So this is Vivek.
Before we get to Vivek, I did the research you asked. So Bernie apparently voted no.
He did vote no.
He voted no, but apparently this passed with 60 votes, which was the actual minimum. It needed 3/5, and it got exactly 60. So it was actually pretty close. But yeah, he voted no. Mike Lee voted no. Merkley voted no. Markey voted no. Rand Paul voted no. Yeah, so 60 to 34. There were a lot of Democrats and Republicans who voted both yes and no. So it wasn't like a partisan split. There were a lot of Republicans who voted yes and no, and a lot of Democrats who voted yes.
Well, that's what the article said with its own framing. The furthest left Democrats, left. There are no left Democrats. The very Republicans who rail against the weaponization of government just voted for more weaponization of government. Congress didn't just reauthorize FISA 702, they dramatically expanded its scope. Blaming Democrats is easy. Looking ourselves in the mirror is harder. Wake up, folks. You know, on that score, I'm curious, not in the Senate, but in Congress, I'm curious how Jim Jordan voted on this. Ron Paul, buried deep in the FISA Section 702 reauthorization bill, is absolutely shocking language exponentially broadening the U.S. government's ability to spy on Americans without a warrant. Turning your plumber into a federal spy agent against you, it's in there. Your gardener? Yep. Truly shocking.
I don't have a gardener.
Also today, the U.S. government has submitted its assurances to the U.K. regarding the Assange extradition plan. It's not good. Believe me, not good. He didn't say that part. But one person was happy. Always welcome in the green room of all the Sunday morning roundtables, Bill Kristol. Quote, "We rose to the challenges of a new era in 1948. Can we do so again? I'm encouraged by the last 24 hours. The National Security Bill advanced in the House. Section 702 was renewed by the Senate. America first may be a minority view in the GOP."
Wait, what? Is that
Bill-
good?
Bill-
is he happy because America
he's happy.
first is minority view?
Yeah. Bill Kristol's very happy. He's saying those MAGA, the unwashed MAGA people, the Marjorie Taylor Greens,
He's not even faking that.
they're
he's not even
a
doing the
minority.
He's not doing the thing of, no, this is America first because that's
No.
our border. And
No.
So he's doing a thing of like, that's crazy that you think.
Well,
He's the guy at the
this is why it was so easy for Democrats to embrace Liz Cheney. There's just not that much distance between the establishment in both parties.
So,
They
okay.
basically see the world the same way.
In Eyes Wide Shut, he's the one that demanded to know Tom Cruise's password for the weird gold mask party. He's the guy sitting. And he goes, "What is the password?"
Like what, you know, they're friends and they like to talk
You should
about
be
how they're
bound
friends.
and gagged
What is
yeah.
the real difference between Nicole Wallace and Rachel Maddow? Like what do they really disagree on? Really?
It's probably some kind of a minor thing about a disagreement about some esoteric theosophy cult thing they're in secret. These people are all lizards. I'm not. It is what it is. They're fucking lizards. I didn't want to believe it. But look at what they do. Why would you believe in any of this ever again? Why would you believe in any of it?
They're all down at Bohemian Grove with Kyle.
Jimmy could have went and
Kyle
saved our
and Crystal.
lives, but instead he had to be selfish and not suck a dick under the great owl.
Anything, Keaton?
Bill Kristol is a guy who, you know, if you are a political novice, if you know nothing about anything, I would refer you to his writings and his articles and his tweets and say, whatever this guy thinks, always think the opposite. Always. The guy is impossibly wrong about every single possible thing. And to the point where his magazine went out of business. That Weekly Standard, that's no
Weekly
more.
Standard,
Because he's just, so wrong all the time that eventually you lose your audience, and you don't even really see him on TV much anymore. You used to see him a lot. You don't see him that
on
much
MSNBC pop up. Who's his dad again? Because he's from a family of pieces of shit.
Yeah, he's from a family of goons.
These are all they're all like programmed, like even if it's not directly MK Ultra, it's all the same. They grow up in a household, then they're programmed like Mormons to believe that the U.S. empire is an objective good in this world and erase all the problems with. It's like being any other cult.
Well, yeah. I mean, those shows are really fucking sickening.
Well, there's a great video of Crystal on Morning Joe. This was like 8 years ago. This was when Trump was winning the Republican primary, and Crystal was one of these like never Trump Republican types. And Bill Crystal was really broken up about the fact that Trump was going to win. And he starts like getting like legit like hysterical. And Scarborough starts laughing at him, like just like really like bullying him on the air. You're practically crying, and it was actually pretty funny because it was this like human moment where he actually sees a weakness in this guy. And since then, I haven't seen him as much. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy who is just committed to a politics of 20 years ago. It'll always be October 2002 in his mind.
Yeah, him and John.
So you could always look to him and think what the that guy too. Yeah.
All right, Misha, to you.
found a rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical grace, soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle-diddle-diddle-digga-digga-diddle-diddle-dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate shitty coffee? I, for one, really hate shitty coffee, which is why I'm excited to introduce to you a company that's revolting against shitty coffee, and it's called the 1775 Coffee Company. Now, I haven't had it yet because I only drink decaf. Steph has had it. Steph, how do you like it?
I really like it. I've been, you know what? I have a French press, and so I've been using my French press and totally enjoying it. It's delicious. It's smooth. It's smooth.
So 1775, the world in 1775, the world awakened to a new era. And now it's 1775 Coffee Company is bringing you a coffee that embodies that revolutionary spirit. Crafted with passion and precision, our beans are ethically and exclusively sourced from the finest coffee beans farms of Bolivia. Didn't know that. 1775 Coffee Company's farm-to-cup journey ensures the highest quality of authenticity and sustainability from start to finish. With each sip, your palate will recognize and appreciate the dedication and passion that goes into crafting this single-sourced brew. 1775 Coffee Company takes pride in offering customers a truly exceptional coffee experience with their premium coffee collection. But their dedication to this revolution extends beyond the realm of taste. Safeguarding freedom of speech is critical right now, which is why 1775 Coffee Company has joined forces with Rumble in defense of one of our most fundamental rights, freedom of speech. Coffee that's sure to awaken all your senses, including the sense of freedom. So choose 1775 Coffee by going to 1775coffee.com/litter. That's LITTER, and use the code LITTER for 10% off the checkout on your first order. 1775 Coffee, brewed to perfection, crafted with revolution.